Thanks for listening, my friend. This is Macil Duncan, and it's a Monday, and we're about to kick off live on several radio stations. This is the Macil Duncan live pregame, if you want to call it, or the pre-show. Many of you listening on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, Instagram, locals.com, and the other social media sites. I just want to make you aware that we will be talking a lot today about my trip to, if you didn't hear or watch the interviews, I went this weekend and spent a couple of days up in North Carolina and East Tennessee, and wanted to see for myself the destruction. And one reason was because my family lives in East Tennessee and my wife's, and so we wanted to go see that. So we'll be focusing on that when we come back. Another pre-show song you might like. It's a new one. One of my listeners sent. It's called "Starving in the Land of Plenty." Kind of slams politicians, and right now they kind of deserve it.
They ride in their limos in suits made of gold, with smiles like these and hearts icy cold, promising justice, but it's just another show. While we're here scraping up crumbs from the floor, politicians lining their pockets deep, while out here on Main Street we can't get no sleep. Bills pile high and the landlord's at the door. High-priced food and rent can't take it anymore. Starving in the land of plenty, while the rich get rich and the poor got empty. They say we're free, but there's a price to pay for the American dream in the USA. Factories closed, jobs shipped overseas. They talk about hope, but it's just a tease. Struggling folks kneel at the mercy of the few, eating dirt and wait on the promise that ain't true.
Kamala Harris gave a speech about high prices, and Donald Trump came back and made an ad out of it. It was that bad, they made an ad out of it, cut number 12.
Everyday prices are too high. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. The bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication, the cost of food. A loaf of bread costs 50% more. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's a serious housing shortage. The price of housing has gone up. It's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. It is out.
I hear the mournful whistle of a distant train. It's singing for the hungry in this land of pain. They keep us down so they can rise high. Underclass people hungry, living on lies.
What do you think this says about our economy right now?
Our economy is in the toilet right now. And I
It
think
is.
going forward, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And you cannot do anything with Kamala that's going to help this country.
Do you think life will get better under Kamala Harris?
I do not, absolutely do not. I believe under Trump it will. I mean, our kids are trying to buy houses now. They can't. Mortgage rates are too high. We really do need a new president in Trump.
I guess I'll do a final poll. Who thinks life is better 4 years later under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Who would say life is better? Who would say life was better under Donald Trump?
Bills pile high and the landlord's at the door. High-priced food and rent, can't take it anymore. Starving in the land of plenty, while the rich get rich and the poor got empty. They say we're free, but there's a price to pay for the American dream in the USA.
The media and a democracy is to maintain a fierce posture of skepticism toward government authorities and toward official pronouncements. That was what the media did in this country for the first 285 years of our existence. But in the last decade, and particularly culminating in COVID, you saw the media completely take the opposite posture. The media became the mouthpiece for government policies and shamed people who dissented from them and disagreed. It silenced them, it marginalized them, it gaslit them. People who said that they had an injury from one of the interventions. People who complained about the impacts of their children on the school closures. People who said, you don't have any evidence that masks are actually based on science or social distancing. Those people became heretics and had to be silenced and discredited and burned. And the media was leading that rather than, being skeptical towards government authority.
I hear the mournful whistle of a distant train. It's singing for the hungry in this land of pain. They keep us down so they can rise high. Underclass people hungry, living on lies.
Well, my friends, this is Macil Duncan, and welcome to the Macil Duncan Show. That was a new song called Starving the Land of Plenty by James Hilton Cowboy. One of my listeners sent that in. Thanks so much. All you guys that were listening on the MacilDuncanRadio.com, we started about a few minutes early with a couple of extra news hits and songs. But those of you now live on the radio, we welcome you as well. We are now in 37 states, Mexico and Canada, thanks to USAHeartbeat.com and StreetLevelAmerica.com that take the show across the nation. But we are also in Canada and Mexico. Want to give a shout out to Destiny Life Media here in Chattanooga, 96.9 FM, SGM Alabama Radio, the New Jersey Freedom Network, the Tennessee Conservative Network, the God in Politics Network. Of course, I've told you the MacilDuncanRadio.com that has me on X, Facebook, Rumble, and other sites. And then the Revolver Media out of Indiana, Joshua Cummings. We've become good friends over the last couple of years, and Joshua is really building a great product there. If you go to the Macil Duncan radio page, his faith, family, and politics, every Friday night I repost. You can go catch it there if you'd like. But I hope you guys are having a good day. I'll tell you, it's been a rough weekend, and I know some of you guys probably heard about the football games, but I guess none that was a greater upset than what happened in Nashville.
This program and the biggest win on the West End. Vanderbilt takes down #1 Alabama. Diego Pavia very nearly went into the stands to celebrate with his brothers, but instead they've come onto the field with him.
Now Vanderbilt, that's the first time in 40 years they've beaten Alabama, and they were taking it to the streets.
Imagine Vandy fans were pretty excited about the big win, even taking down the goalposts. Kim Rafferty joining us now, who was downtown in the middle of the excitement. Kim, we saw the rumors on X that they were going to take it to Broadway, and they took it to Broadway.
Kelsey, it was so incredible to see. Broadway was filled with students and fans who told me they didn't think they would ever see this happen in their lifetimes. After the Commodore beat the Tide, you just saw a massive crowd storm the field and go straight for the goalpost. They picked it up, carried it down Broadway, and tossed it in the Cumberland River.
Now, you need to understand something. When people beat Alabama, it's like their Super Bowl. And you got to give Crimson Tide credit. They've been so dominant for 13 years. When people just beat you in the regular season, they act like it's the Super Bowl of all time. And so Tennessee 2 years ago beat them in Knoxville, and we took the goalpost and took it down to the river. Vandy has done the same. But that also says a lot about Alabama. They're pretty good. The other big upset, if you want to call it that, was my Vols, the Tennessee Vols, El Chocoroo.
Yamaliava, this is going to be the last play of the game. Scrambles, and is shoved out of bounds. No time left. Arkansas pulls the upset.
Yes, I've had a lot of hazing, and since I'm a Vol fan, but I want to be able to take it because I dish it out. I thought I'd play that song. Some of you didn't think I'd play it. I said I would play it, and he basically took the Rocky Top theme song and threw it back in our faces. And if anyone has heard that, that was pretty good. You got to give the guy pretty good creds. He took our song and he kind of threw it back in our face. And Tennessee just looked, we sucked, man. We just stunk. We had life in the third quarter for all of 6 minutes. We scored 2 touchdowns. And then I hate to say this, I know someone in Tennessee will be mad at me, but I think Nico possibly is overrated. I don't think the kid's as good as we were told. Sometimes you can just, when you pay a kid $8 million right out of high school, maybe he's worried about getting hurt. I don't know. But he's just, to me, he just looks, and that last play of the game, I could have done that. I take a snap and run out of bounds with no time on the clock. Nico, throw it and let someone make a play, son. A lot of Tennessee fans a little bewildered and taken back. But the new top 25 is out. Texas has moved back to number 1. Of course, Bama and Tennessee have both dropped or both still in the top 10, remarkably. But we'll see. Still a long season. But Tennessee, if you're a Tennessee fan, we've got Florida, Bama, and then Mississippi State and somebody else. We got 4 tough games back to back. And then we got to still play Georgia. So this is a game Tennessee couldn't afford to lose because they thought they might lose Bama or Georgia. Many felt we could beat Bama, and now I'm even more convinced we can beat Bama at home. But beating Georgia down in Georgia between the hedges, that's going to be tough, especially now that Georgia has a loss to Alabama. So, interesting. We'll see what happens. But I don't know about you. Outside of football, the other big talk, I guess, is this is the 1-year anniversary of the terrible October 7th attack that still bewilders many of us, how Biden could unfreeze those funds to Iran. They turn around and fund back their terrorist organization, Hezbollah is the main one, and they fly in on these gliders, and they're gunning down innocent students at a festival. This is sad. Here's CBN News.
Well, welcome to the 700 Club. On this day, 1 year ago, Israelis woke to the sound of sirens. Iranian-backed terrorists from Gaza were attacking Israeli communities. They killed more than 1,100 people, and they took more than 250 hostages. It was the worst massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust.
How much you think about that? Since World War II, that's the worst massacre of Jewish people. And, America takes some responsibility. Donald Trump had froze those funds. What was Biden thinking when he unfroze those funds to a terrorist nation? Well, then again, when he was vice president, what was Obama thinking when he flew in those planes full of cash in the middle of the night, hoping we would never find out? Go do your research. Why was Obama so hell-bent on making Iran a nuclear deal so they could have nuclear weapons? It makes no sense, because now, of course, some people say, well, Israel has nuclear weapons. I don't know if they do or not, but here's the deal. Israel's never used them if they do. Iran has proven they will. If Iran gets nuclear capability, they'll pull the trigger. You know they will. Look how irresponsible and unreasonable, because they have a mission. Annihilate anyone that doesn't believe like them. Sounds like the progressive Democrats. But that's pretty much what they're doing. From the river to the sea chant that they did means to annihilate and extinguish the Jewish people. 78% of Jews in America said that they fear for their life now more than they ever have. 78% of the Jewish people. That's a big group. Let's hear some more.
Now Israel is in a multi-front war, not only against Iran's proxy armies, but against Iran itself. As the fighting continues, the nation is remembering the victims of October 7th. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports.
At 6:29 Monday morning, the moment terrorists from Gaza breached the fence into Israel 1 year ago, President Isaac Herzog observed a moment of silence at the site of the Nova Music Festival, where hundreds gathered in memory of those killed and kidnapped.
7th of October 2023, a day that should be remembered in infamy. This is a scar on humanity. This is a scar on the face of the earth.
It's one of many observances happening throughout the country to remember the October 7th attacks, including an event by the government press office, the National Documentation Project, which is collecting stories of those who suffered that day.
Powerful. Many folks say, well, why did this have to happen? Here's the shocking truth revealed about October 7th from another report.
The October 7th terrorist attack in Israel was the worst massacre of Jews since the Holocaust. It led to war and the loss of thousands of lives in Gaza, and now war against Hezbollah in Lebanon. 1 year after the Hamas terror bloodbath against Israel, its impact is still being felt, not only in the Middle East, but around the world. Joining us is French-Israeli award-winning filmmaker Pierre Rehov. His latest documentary out this week is called Pogroms. Pierre, bonjour, bienvenue, shalom. You've done a lot of films about Israel and the Middle East over the years, so as an Israeli, I'm sure this one was a bit more personal for you. Why did you feel compelled to do a film about October 7th?
Well, first of all, I live about 20 miles north of Gaza, and on October 7th at 6:30, I was woken up by, like everybody else in Israel, by sirens. I received a phone call at about 7 a.m. from a friend of mine who told me, lock your doors, lock your windows, we are invading. That's how I found out that something big was happening. And since then, we've been, where I live, under Hamas rocket for about 3 to 4 months before the IDF was capable to stop the firing of rockets, at least in my specific region.
Can you imagine for 24 months having rockets go over your head and near your home you live in? Can you imagine? I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes you guys in America, you pray a little quick prayer, God bless the meat, let's eat. I bet you if you had rockets exploding near your vicinity, you could hear that. You could hear sirens, police whistles, and gunfire from time to time. I bet your prayer life's just a little bit stronger. I think we need to be mindful of this, and let's pray, because kind of like one of the guys said there, that October 7th, 2023 should be etched in the memory of historians for days and years to come. Because it was a horrific, it was a bloodbath, it was an intentional invasion. And anyone that says otherwise is just fooling themselves. And anyone that tries to justify it, I mean, these were innocent students. at a music festival. And what makes it even worse, do you know most of those students were kind of left-leaning, if you want to call them liberal Israelis, that did not believe in their full government's views and values. I bet they do now. What's sad is they've still got some of the hostages to this day. And that makes it very sad. It makes it very sad. And some of the hostages, you know, many have been killed. There's supposedly over 100 left. And they just released a picture, and I can't release the picture, but I saw it this morning, of 8 of the girls, and it shows them they're petrified. These look to be late teenagers to early 20, college student type, and they look like they've been abused. And that's what terrorism does. It's to terrorize you, it's to make you fear, and they want to put terror in you to make you doubt anything you do, where you go. And Israel's trying to fight back. And the propaganda wars have been on now for a year. Some of you have actually, I've heard people say, well, I hate both sides. Nah, you can't do that. That's the cop-out. You can't do that. I don't think. You're going to have to really pray through, especially if you're a Christian. And I've heard people say, well, this isn't the real Jews. And I've heard that bull crap. I'm just sorry to tell you, that's just bull crap. These are God's chosen people. Okay? And you go against them, you're going against God. That's just my fact jack of the morning. I will tell you that, or the afternoon, I should say. But we'll see what's happening as we get on with the rest of the show. The other thing I thought was interesting is that there's a lot of commercials, if you guys have heard, coming out. There's a lot of investigations coming out, and it's right here getting ready for the October surprise. And he thought, what could it be? Could it be the weather? There's a lot of people that are being very skeptical of these hurricanes, and you know, is HARP involved? There is a weather modification. If you go to CBS 9 years ago, they did a special on the weather modification that the military had discovered, supposedly, even though they've been doing this since 1951. The thing is, it's just a fact, Jack. 26 of let me get this right. I've got my Georgia Bulldog reporter sent this to me. Hey, kiddo, you sent me. There we go. 26 of 28 North Carolina counties that were wrecked by the hurricane voted for President Trump. 26 of 28 counties. Just saying. It's awful convenient. And the hurricane that's headed towards Florida is pretty much all red country. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's now someone says, see, God hates Trump. You can say that if you want to, but I think a lot of folks are having their eye opened. And the other thing that's very interesting is how that the left are excusing why FEMA isn't helping right now. Now they've had the money to go help and help at the border and give money for there, but for some reason they've not had the funds to help Americans, and a lot of folks are finding that frustrating. So I went myself, and I'll play some of the clips, and you can go watch the videos and hear me. I went to North Carolina and to East Tennessee. I wanted to check for myself. I did not find one FEMA unit. I went to Irwin, Tennessee, where where 26 is still shut down. The hospital that you may have heard the Apache helicopters flew into, they've had to tear that hospital down. There was no sign of FEMA there. There was no military presence there. Well, then I went over to Elizabethton, Tennessee. Nothing. Went up to Hampton, Tennessee, where the high school is blown away. The football field is gone. Nothing. So I went on up to past Cloudland and went up the mountain to Roan Mountain. I had a dinner, and I interviewed the waitress. You can catch that video as well, and I'll play it in a minute. But no FEMA, no military. And those roads are still blocked, so I drove into North Carolina, into Banner Elk and around those areas, and talked with the fire department and other volunteers there, and they said no FEMA, no military. And I interviewed a lady who's a school teacher who hasn't had a bath in over 2 weeks. And she was hesitant. She said she lost all of her makeup, all of her ladies. I don't know if you can imagine the flood. You're running, you can't grab everything. She lost all of her toiletry items. And so she's not had a good bath and not put makeup on for over 2 weeks. Makes her feel very uncomfortable, if you can imagine. I didn't put a camera on her, we just talked. But she said, I'm a school teacher and I can't get through to my school. The roads are blocked. I can't get to my students. There's a lot of things. And so I went up there, I just wanted to see for myself. I wanted to hear from myself. And there's a lot of true hurting people. But for some reason, we're sending money to all these other nations. And all they offered our people was $750. And it's not sitting well with them either. And then David Axelrod made a joke and said, well, the hillbillies probably won't show up at the polls. They're not smart enough to figure a way out. He goes, but Asheville is a higher educated group. They'll find a way to vote. So he was joking. He says, I think we just got North Carolina. And he was saying it with a smirk and a grin and a laugh. David Axelrod worked, you probably know this, for Obama, was one of his key lynchmen. I don't know, man. I'm just telling you, people want power that bad. They want to be in control that bad. They would literally celebrate people's loss of home and life. Now, I've had several say, did you see dead bodies? No, but I was told of a road, if I wanted to go down, it was very destructive. So I chose not to go down that road because I was also told I'm by myself and you don't go down in some of these places. These folks are getting desperate. And but I did see houses flipped over, and it was great damage. So we'll talk about it more when we come back. We're going to go to a break here. This is the Macil Duncan Show on the Monday here of October the 7th. A sad, sad day for the nation.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Hi, this is Kat from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I just wanted to say how much I love your show. I love the topics that you cover and all the special guests that you have come online. It keeps things really fun and interesting. Thank you.
Little boy blue, come blow on your horn. The sheep's in the meadow, the cow's in the corn. You've messed up again. What's the matter with you? Can't you do anything right? Worthless little brat.
What a child learns about violence, a child learns for life.
Somebody's going to get hit.
Teach carefully. We can show you how. We're ACT, Adults and Children Together Against Violence. And if you're a parent or caregiver, we can help you teach your child how to rise above violence, not succumb to it. Visit actagainstviolence.org for details or call 877-ACT-WISE for a free brochure. Call today, 877-ACT-WISE, and stop violence before it starts. This message brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Psychological Association, and the MetLife Foundation.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. But every driver seeks the pinnacle of their achievements. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year, 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I had something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Seeding used to control and manipulate the weather, to flood and devastate those places and crash the value of land there.
Repeat.
To reduce the amount that can be paid out as compensation, Hurricane Helene was then artificially created, just like cloud seeding used to control and manipulate the weather, to flood and devastate those places and crash the value of land there.
Repeat.
To reduce the amount that can be paid out as compensation, Hurricane Helene was then artificially created, just like cloud seeding used to control and manipulate the weather, to flood and devastate those places and crash the value of land there.
Now that was Alexa talking about the hurricane. So some people are saying, wow, some of this stuff is kind of crazy. And how are they finding this out? I don't know. You guys send me some of this cool stuff, so I play some of it to let you know. Now, I do want to let you to do a special thanks to Lee Helton, the commissioner here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in my district. He has agreed. We are doing a fundraiser, and if you want to help us, we're raising $10,000. There's one of the guys I met on my venture. His name's Jeff. I won't give his last name, but he's from Hampton, Tennessee. He lost it all, my friend. His house. He lost 4 cars. His daughter's car, his car, and another family member's car. He lost all of his furniture, his appliances. The flood went through. Now, you may have seen his video went viral. He was in his garage. He's talking about they may have to go up to the attic. You may have seen the attic door hanging. And as the flood was just coming through his garage and going through his house, the interesting part of his story was his daughter was home asleep. A neighbor called as it was getting worse before it got that bad and said, Jeff, you might want to come home. Your daughter's not, I've tried to call her. And luckily he went home, and if he had not woke her up, there's a chance she would have died because the water just then came and there was loss of life in that area. They escaped, and he's come back in his home, and I went I donated some time there as well when I was on my journey this weekend, and we were scraping off and ripping the sheetrock down. But here's the plan. He said, Macil, if I could just get back into my master bedroom and bathroom for the winter, I'll just work on the rest of the house as I can and as I can afford it, because he had no flood insurance. So my heart's heavy. If you would like to help us, Lee Helton, the commissioner, has given a $1,000 challenge. How many folks can maybe match and give another $1,000? Or if you can give $100, but if you can give something, go to our church's website, www.apisonbaptist.com. That's Apison, APISON.com. And when you go to the giving venue, just mark missions. Everything that comes in for missions on the next several weeks will go directly to this fund. And what we want to do is help him floor, re-sheetrock. But we also not only have to do that, we've got to rip all the old out. You've got to spray this special bleach that fights all mold. And he's underneath the house with another team trying to get all the mud and gook out there and relay the black plastic. And so if we can help him, so if you'd like to go, this Sunday after church, we'll be having a meeting here at Apison Baptist Church. I know this is short notice, and it happens to be fall break, but if some folks can go, or if you can help finance, this guy's a true blue American, true blue-collar American. He's not a druggie. He doesn't have problems and issues. He's just a nice guy that's always known for helping others. And so I thought it'd be nice if we helped him back. And it's up in East Tennessee. So if you'd like to make a donation, go to www.apisonbaptist.com. And thank you, Lee Helton. Pastor, salute to you for your help. But there are a lot of people right now that are just in need of help right now. And this flood victim stuff, it was real. It hit home. And a lot of folks have been commenting. My videos that when I went down there have gotten a lot of traction. I've actually got called from Glenn Beck people or through Moms for America. Can they use some of mine for a historical video? And I said, absolutely. That would be fine. Here is the interview I did with a waitress up on Roan Mountain, and she was very devastated by this. Lives in the area. She's a waitress here, and she's been giving me some great information about the devastation. Can you tell us your name again?
Hi, my name's Gail. We own a White Way Grill in Roan Mountain, and the area is just devastated. There's just trees down everywhere, people without power, people not able to get out to get any kind of supplies. So they are in need bad of totes to store stuff, blankets, pillows, food, water, anything that can help them out. Diapers for the little ones, formula, and right now, Pastor Duncan said he's brought supplies to be distributed, so we are just so blessed that people from all over the country are coming to help support us and help us get cleaned up from this mess. People that weren't damaged by trees have their houses filled with mud, and it's just unbelievable, so devastating.
Now, as we were just sitting here talking, you were telling me several of I just went by Hampton High School and did a little drive-through. The families are they're needing all kinds of supplies.
Yes.
Could you be specific if folks want to? Because the other thing we're finding out is FEMA is coming in to Davy Crockett High School and some others, and they've confiscated supplies.
I've heard that.
And some say they're redistributed to the illegals down at the border because they're out of money.
Goodness.
So if they bring supplies in here, is there a place they can trust to bring the supplies here in the area?
The First Baptist Church, Lower Shell Creek First Baptist Church, is a distribution point, and people are dropping off there. Here at the White Way Grill, we're happy to distribute to people also. We've actually went down to the National Guard in Elizabethton and picked up supplies and brought and distributed to people that couldn't get out. So totes are a big thing because people that have lost everything, they don't have anywhere to store supplies. So totes are a big thing that are needed badly. Pillows, blankets, because the weather's supposed to get really cold here Monday night. So just anything you can do to help would be much appreciated.
Now, I happen to have about 6 or 8 bags of winter clothing So I'm going to leave those with you to distribute.
Okay.
I'm going to leave you some care bags, too, to distribute.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go up the mountain a little further, see if I can't meet some people. But
All right.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
So,
Yes, I am.
do you have a Bible verse that you're clinging to during this time?
Not that I can think of offhand.
I'm putting you on the spot. Guys, this is important. But we'll be coming back, and I'm going to be going down to a house down in Hampton, see if we can partner to help him rebuild his house. But I just want to thank again this sweet lady here at the diner, and there's mom and pop places all around. Find one, support them, and if you can, help them, help others. I just want to say thank you again, and where's your diner located in case folks are driving by?
We're at 7317 Highway 19E here in Roe Mountain.
So if you're driving by Rome Mountain, stop here and get some food. Pastor Duncan out. Now let me tell you, they got good food. Now they gave me a complimentary breakfast, and they piled it on. They gave me biscuits and gravy and eggs and meat and stuff. But they were so grateful that I came and did that. And I asked to take a picture with the family because her and her husband. Well, then she brings out her two daughters, a grandchild. The whole family runs the show. It was such a blessing to see this Christian family. And out of their store, they're on 19E. It's a nice little dive, a little restaurant. I love to stop at little dives like that when I'm on my Harley. And I plan to go and eat there often. It's about a 40-minute drive from my parents' house when I go to Johnson City. But it's worth it going up the mountain to see fellow Christian, fellow patrons. And they helped me greatly with information, where to go, and then they also helped distribute some of the supplies I brought up there. And they also knew of a family that needed diapers, gave her some diapers as well for this young family. So, great people, and pray about it. But what's interesting, one of my church members, Ben Jacobs, he watched this. He got inspired, so he contacted a store in the area and said, hey, listen, they need totes up there with lids. And so he gets in touch, comes by and gets our tax identity number because they need that. And I'm excited to hear, but it sounds like there's a store in the area of Chattanooga that's going to give. So we can take those totes up there. Because I want you to just picture it in your mind, folks. If you can imagine your house, you have your walls, okay? You have your ceiling and basically your floor, but all your furniture, all your pictures, all the things you love in your closet have been ruined, okay? Mud has come into your house, and for you to salvage your house, you've got to scoop the mud out. And I want you to think this, too. Some of the people I interviewed living in their cars. So they don't have electricity right now up there in North Carolina. So daylight is their friend. So what do? They wait till daylight, and they work all during the daylight. They work on cleaning mud and getting things out of their house. And then at night, they're sleeping in their cars because it's gotten chilly up there. And so when I gave out sleeping bags and I gave out blankets, they were very grateful. And I want to thank all of you that brought stuff by the food pantry and stuff. We're going to make another run up there, and not only to help this family, and I'll be playing the interview or the place with Jeff there in Hampton, but I'm going to make another run up there to the mountain to take blankets and supplies. So if you'd like to be a part of this, IMME, or just come to Appleton Baptist Church this Sunday, right after worship, we're going to have a little mission meeting, have some pizza, and see who's interested in contributing and going. And so think about it, pray about it. If you have the gift of service, some folks just that's their thing. They like helping others. We need some help, and we'd appreciate it. But this dear lady in that diner, that was a blessing. It's one, and I think I've made a friend. I think I can go back, and I took a group shot there with them. But it's an amazing place, and I hope you guys would consider going there on 19E heading to Rome Mountain. This is when I went to Banner Elk. This is up in the rough part of North Carolina, and it narrates what I see. See what you think. So the road damage. I'm in a back road here, I'll try to let you see. There's a lot of damage here. And you see this one house in particular is tilted. It looks beyond repair. If you can see how it's tilted upward. And they don't think they're going to be able to salvage this house. It's pretty bad off. So you've got a lot of damage in homes like this. And coming ahead, a lot of concrete damage. As you can see where the bridges, the little short bridges have washed out. And this home right here, they're a lot of damage. They pulled everything out in the yard. This is Banner Elk, North Carolina. And just a lot of damage. So I just played a minute of that for you. If you want to go watch that, I tried to keep the videos 5 minutes and less. And I've got videos of Hampton, when I went to Irwin, Tennessee, the different little towns all there in the area. And if you want to go and get a taste of it, I talk and I show you with my phone. I take video. But the reality is this: there's a damage, and they're talking. This may take years to fix, and none of us are super rich people. I'm not a rich person, so every little bit helps. If you'd like to give $25, $50, $100, now thank you for Lee Helton that gave a $1,000 challenge. But please go to www.appisonbaptist.com and give what you can to the missions, and we will help this guy get back in his home. Can you imagine? Your request to God is, can I just get back in my bedroom and have a bathroom to survive the winter? I mean, he's got a 3-bedroom house, a kitchen, a 1-car garage. It's an older home. But he knows I can't get it all fixed before the holidays. But I can probably get, if I can get the bedroom and a bathroom, I can survive the winter. And he'll probably have to get a kerosene heater. Now, I got him a bed. One of my sweet widow ladies at our church had just bought a new bed for a family, and they don't need it. And it has drawers, so it's going to be a good space saver for him. And when I called to tell him that today, I could tell he got emotional. He goes, "Pastor, I can't believe you guys want to help me." And I said, "Why not?" I said, I've been told by a lot of folks, you're a good guy. You've helped others. It's time for us to help you. So you pray about it and see what God says to your heart. We're going to go to a break, and I'll be back after this.
I just wanted to share that I love the radio show that Macil does. He just tells it like it is, which is so refreshing for a media outlet. He has an easygoing and uplifting personality, and he just makes you feel like you're a friend sitting in their living room talking. He does not fall for the gaslighting of today, and he shares the truth of the matter. I love his sense of humor, and his sound effects are great, like when he whistles, cracks me up. He has so much wisdom, and his variety of guests is just awesome. I learn a lot from his show. He does his research, obviously. So I just really wanted to say thank you, Chattanooga Radio. I just love this show. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What? No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up. See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
All those smiling, happy faces, laughing, enjoying life. Then I turn the TV off, and I'm back to reality. The faces here are not so happy after the spill. I mean, just look around. The fourth-generation shop owner who'd give anything to turn on his dusty open sign. The fisherman with the 1,000-mile stare. People of the Gulf region have been through a lot, and we're pretty good at bouncing back, but we can all use some help from time to time. If you're experiencing increased anxiety, worry, or anger, you should know that the assistance you may need to help you cope is here. For confidential counseling, call 800-985-5990. 800-985-5990. Or text TALK WITH US to 66746. With help, you won't need a TV to see a smiling face, only a mirror. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council. Message and data rates may apply.
I've had trouble with Angel trying to finish high school. He's always struggled through even elementary. It would be frustrating because sometimes I would talk to him and he wouldn't even turn around and look at me. I would ask him, so you're going to school today, right? He would say, yeah. And then later during the day, I would get a phone call saying he wasn't in class. He dropped off for a whole month. There's a time that I just gave up. I just decided, you know what, I don't know what to do with you. I mean, I pretty much have done everything to try to get you back to school. You know, you feel that maybe you're not a good parent, or maybe you don't know how to fix the problem. I really didn't have many people to look to but myself. Now I think that it's gotten a lot better. Now I at least have hope that he'll finish high school. I can't give up. He's still my son. You know, I can't give up.
Give your teen the boost they need to graduate. Call 1-877-4A-KID or join us at boostup.org for tips and advice. Brought to you by the U.S. Army and the Ad Council.
The Department of Defense says during the last fiscal year, military services collectively missed recruiting goals by about 41,000. It was an issue that came up this week during a debate between two candidates running for Senate in Virginia, incumbent Democrat Tim Kaine and his Republican challenger Hung Cao. This response from Cao to low military recruitment going viral.
When you're using a drag queen to recruit for the Navy, that's not the people we want. What we need is alpha males and alpha females who are going to rip out their own guts, eat them, and ask for seconds. Those are young men and women that are going to win wars.
Please, audience, please.
Hung Cao has been outspoken over DEI practices in the military, calling them a hindrance to recruitment. Posting on X last month, this administration has a growing obsession with DEI. It's no wonder we have a military recruiting problem in our country. The Navy specifically was criticized largely by conservatives last year when it announced a new digital ambassador program to drive up recruitment among the youth. One of its 5 chosen ambassadors was Joshua Kelly, an active duty sailor who doubles as Harpy Daniels, a drag queen. And you may remember this Army recruitment ad early on in the Biden administration, which again gained backlash from conservatives, telling the story of one soldier with 2 mothers.
Eventually standing at the altar to marry my other mom. With such powerful role models, I finished high school at the top of my class. And after meeting with an Army recruiter, I found it. A way to prove my inner strength, and maybe shatter some stereotypes along the way.
While conservatives like Cal argue a focus on DEI is making the military less desirable for Americans to join, the Department of Defense stands by its DEI practices, saying diversity is a strategic imperative critical to mission readiness and accomplishment. In the race for Senate in Virginia, polls show Hung Cal may have won the debate, but Senator Tim Kaine has a healthy lead in the race, up by as much as 10 points. Thanks for watching our news update. For more stories that matter to you as we...
So, I don't know what you think about the DEI and all that, but some of you may say, hey, why haven't the FEMA done more? Well, here is a DEI hire. The FEMA training director is concerned about faith-based shelters misgendering migrant trans women. She's kind of justifying the reason they've not come into this faith-based area to rescue is because she's worried about transgenders being treated fairly. So let's see what we got here. Here we go. Let's see if we can get this up.
Whether they would trust the people, places that are offering shelter that are faith-based because of the way they've been responded to in the past. And if they are accepted, what would happen in terms of misgendering, in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, etc. And then in addition, public safety once they're inside from those who are actually sheltering with them. All of those concerns are there. Being a migrant trans woman, there is an undocumented concern.
Being a migrant trans woman, she says. She's a migrant, and she says she's a trans woman, and she is a director in FEMA, justifying why they're not helping the Christians. Check it out.
In addition, public safety once they're inside from those who are actually sheltering with them. All of those concerns are there. Being a migrant trans woman, there is an undocumented concern. There is also a concern of whether they would trust the people, places that are offering shelter that are faith-based because of the way they've been responded to in the past. And if they are accepted, what would happen in terms of misgendering, in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, etc. And then in addition, public safety once they're inside.
So she's saying that they're so afraid about misgendering and that someone that's a transgender, and I'd hate to tell you this, sweet cheeks, but I don't think up in the hills of North Carolina and Tennessee you're going to have to worry about transgenderism. And even if there were, right now they're so desperate they don't have food, they don't have electricity. This is the insanity that drives people crazy. She's justifying why they haven't moved to help a faith-based area of the country. That's your FEMA. That's your FEMA. And don't know what you guys think about it. They you know, Mayorkas said they're out of money. Don't know what you guys think about that either. This is it's very troubling. It's very troubling, and I think a lot of folks are having problems with it. You guys probably remember this song.
The Tennessee General Assembly was considering implementing a state income tax.
We ended up
people as rescue efforts turn into recovery missions across states in the southeast. Meanwhile, volunteer organizations are stepping in to assess damage in hard-hit areas and bringing critical relief to those in need. Fox's Madison Scarpino has the latest.
The number of deaths from Helene is only expected to rise as crews continue to search those hard-to-get-to areas, while volunteer organizations are actually going out to those spots in helicopters. And we got a ride with Samaritan's Purse to get a better view of the damage. We're flying over the mountains of western North Carolina with Samaritan's Purse. The organization has been dropping off some key supplies to some of the hardest hit areas by Helene. That includes things like water, food, and baby supplies. Towns deep into the Appalachian Mountains close to Lake Lure are destroyed. Most of the few roads in and out were washed away. We saw collapsed bridges, piles of debris, and people's homes destroyed. The majority of stories we're hearing from survivors are of neighbors helping neighbors. Some people think there should be more federal help. But Samaritan's Purse and thousands of other volunteers jumped in to help impacted communities almost immediately.
I've been doing this for 35 years, and I normally work in the big refugee areas and war zones and that kind of stuff. And it's a horrible event, and it is easy to underestimate it because it feels like it's in a contained area. It's a total disaster when you're cut off. People can't get out. The resources are not coming into them.
So there you go. Now this is a Fox 4 local, Dallas-Fort Worth reporting, and they went down to fly with, Samaritan's Purse. And let me tell you, Franklin Graham is one of the best, and he tries to help and get folks to where they need to be, and it's such a blessing. And there's other stories you may have heard about pilots going down there. Here is a Waco pilot that returns home after delivering supplies to hurricane-ravaged North Carolina. Here's another good story, because you need to hear the good stories. It's not all bad.
A Central Texas pilot and Waco business owner is back home this evening after flying to North Carolina this week to help with hurricane recovery.
News 10's Jessica Rajkumar caught up with the pilot on how relief efforts are going.
Pilot and CEO of Blackhawk Aerospace in Waco, Jim Allman, has just landed after flying back from helping disaster relief efforts in Statesville, North Carolina.
General aviation is stepping up and making things happen and getting food and supplies that are desperately needed to these people. And it's an amazing operation. There's hundreds, if not thousands of airplanes that are flying in there, and more are coming.
Allman says that many people in the area cannot receive help since Hurricane Helene destroyed many bridges and roads. So Allman and his team, along with other pilots, fill their planes up with hundreds of pounds of supplies to deliver to distribution sites.
So we get the supplies as close as we can to where helicopters can then pick up the supplies and carry them out to these outlying towns and communities that have no access.
What an awesome job. These people are, fuel for a jet plane is not cheap. And these guys are paying for this, and it's a wonderful gesture. And they're talking about how the faith community has pretty much, so it's almost a blessing in disguise that FEMA has not been what they should be. Because what it's done, it's allowed the church, the people of Christ, if you will, to be more involved, more active, and more visible. This is probably the most visible the church has been in quite some time. But a lot of folks still are concerned about FEMA and the response. And see what you think. Mayorkas warns FEMA doesn't have enough funding to last through hurricane season.
And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met.
Meanwhile,
the people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation, Kamala says. And Kamala says, I'm concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon and will continue working to help meet the needs of civilians in Lebanon. Thank you, Kamala. The United States will give a total of $157 million in additional assistance to Lebanon for essential needs such as food, shelter, water protection, and sanitation help. Thank you, Kamala. Those who have been displaced by the recent conflict, Kamala has also pledged $385 million to Lebanon. Wasn't that nice? $385. Now you're saying, is that an old clip? Yeah, October 5th, 2 days ago. So Kamala Harris is pledging $385 million to Lebanon. Why hasn't she pledged anything to our people except a $750 FEMA, which is technically a loan? If you don't know the fine print, if you take the money from FEMA and they learn that someone's done a GoFundMe page or you've gotten any help, then they can turn and ask you to pay that $750 back to the government, and if you don't, they can seize your property. Yeah, pretty much sucks, does it not? This is some Fox News. This is boots on the ground, and I appreciate them. This guy, he's hilarious. His name escapes me anyway. Lawrence with Fox News. He goes and talks to the people, and check out what they have to say.
Like none other. Right behind me, it used to be a car repair shop, and as you can see, there's one car right here, but you see other cars that are inside of the building that are just smashed together. And to the left of me used to be a mattress shop, and it's not even visible. At first, it took us going to Google Maps to figure out what the business is. The people here are struggling. There's questions about the response here so far. And, you know, I always tell people, you know, I'm not going to disagree with administration when they say FEMA is here. The problem is the residents'
homes. There's
a growing interest in...
He slipped in a commercial. Let me check this out, though. This lady kind of peels her head back, and rightfully so.
Just so much damage. It's been somewhat overwhelming. We feel like we're in a war zone.
And I've experienced guys coming up here from other cities packing up this free stuff that they are sending us, saying they're going to sell it. What happened?
Lots of disaster in this area, a lot dead, a lot without power and water. We don't know when the water will be restored. I don't have either right now.
My son hiked 5 miles to get me. We went through all the devastation of, there were no roads, there were no homes, there was nothing.
Just so much damage. It's been somewhat overwhelming. We feel like we're in a war zone.
And I've experienced guys coming up here from other cities packing up this free stuff that they are sending us up here from other cities, 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 packing up this free stuff that they are sending us, saying they're going to sell it.
And that's your FEMA. FEMA says they have the right to collect. Now you say, Mace, are you sure about that? Oh yeah, go ask Davy Crockett High School in Johnson City, Tennessee. The other two escape me, but Davy Crockett High School have been collecting supplies for several weeks, and FEMA came in and confiscated it all and said they have the right to take it to the border or wherever they want to redistribute it what they call fairly. So my advice to you is don't give any money to FEMA or the Red Cross, okay? Carter County actually had to ask the Red Cross to leave. The same thing. The Red Cross is not the Red Cross it used to be. Okay, it's a very secular situation. The Christians that were gathering had been feeding hot meals, and finally Red Cross decided to come and they were going to take over. And they started telling them what they couldn't do. You can't pray with people. You can't do this. And the ministers and the community leaders said, excuse me, we've been doing this for almost 2 weeks. You show up and you're in charge now? Now get out. This is private property. You can leave. And they kicked the Red Cross out of Carter County. The reason I'm telling you this is people are desperate for help, but they also have a right to talk to God if they want to. And that is a part of our country. And so when I played you this tape of this transgender lady who is a self-professed transgender migrant, and she's a training director for FEMA. A training director, meaning she trains people, and she said her concern about the faith element and faith-based help and this part of the country that's faith-based is how they'll treat transgenders. They're not even 2% of the population. But it's people like this that are causing a lot of conflict, my friends. And I think it's something we're going to have to pray about. We're going to go to a break, and I'll be back. This is the Macil Duncan Show in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
back to the mountains where remarkable stories of survival are now being shared days after Helene wreaked havoc in North Carolina. But one Pageland man's efforts to help are now the source of controversy. He flew his own chopper on his own dime to help stranded victims, but that man says he abandoned his rescue missions after a fire official threatened to have him thrown in jail. Well, that man now wants answers and turned to Queen City News Chief Investigator Jody Barr to help figure out what went wrong here.
This is the original post that I was reading when I decided to go up and help. It's a long post, but she's saying that her kids and family and animals are trapped. No way out, no supplies, and the only way in or out is accessible by helicopter. Limited self-service and no water since Friday morning. I thought I have a helicopter and maybe I can help.
Jordan Sidham piled food and water into his helicopter Saturday and headed up toward Banner Elk, the only way through a mountain gap in Lake Lure.
This is the mountain valley that you would have to fly to get to Black Mountain, where we were escorting people out. This is a mountain range, and this is a mountain range. The only place to fly through with bad visibility, low cloud coverage, is Lake Lure.
The cries for help from people stranded without food, water, or electricity hit social media soon after the flooding last Friday.
But my parents are stuck there. Their address is Banner Elk. They are in the first condo. If you receive this, please give me a call back. Thank you.
Sidham's phone started lighting up on Saturday with people begging for help.
I could hear the desperation in her voice. This is multiple phone calls I've received like this, voicemails, text messages, and you could hear people desperate for help.
Sidham and his son rescued 4 people on Saturday and spent the night in a nearby pilot's lounge, then decided to fly again Sunday morning.
I spoke with my son, which is my co-pilot. I said, hey, do you want to go back out and try to help today? And his response was, there's so many messages, I don't think we can't not go help.
Sidham and his son were headed up to Black Mountain. Flight tracking shows no flight restrictions in place Saturday or Sunday morning when Sidham flew through the Lake Lure Gap. But that was all about to change. The Sidham spotted an older couple waving for help, then landed in what's left of their driveway.
Hey, I want you to let me get in. You step out and go out, help her in, put her bag in the back, get her strapped in. I'm going to take her down, come back. I'll take him, I'll come back, and then I'll get you, okay?
I originally left my son, co-pilot, on the side of the mountain. It was kind of unstable, so I didn't want to put more weight in the helicopter to lift back off. So I left my son with the other victim, and I was just going to take one person down at the time. And you could hear me in the video talking through with the victims and with my son what we're going to do.
3 minutes away, Sidham spotted a group of rescuers just down the river. He landed and found someone in charge.
Told him my background experience, law enforcement, firefighting, pilot. He immediately started helping with coordination. He gave me radio frequencies to coordinate with them on, set up a landing area for me to come back with the other victim. And in the middle of the whole conversation and then blocking the road off, I was greeted by the, at that time I didn't know, but Lake Lure fire chief or assistant chief maybe, and he shut down the whole operation. So at that point I felt like the conversation wasn't going any further. And again, he asked me to leave, and I said, hey, I have no problem getting.
If you don't understand the whole story, the fire chief threatened to do a citizen's arrest on him and detain him. And his crime? Rescuing people that had SOS written out and doing Facebook posts in panic. So you know what he did? Because they said, if you go get the husband, he already brought the wife in. If you go get the husband, we'll have you arrested. So he had to go get his son, and he told the man, I'm sorry. They've told me they'll arrest me and my son. I'm going to have to leave you here. But I'm giving your coordinates to other rescue teams. And the husband was left there, and he thought, hey, I guess I'm going to die. He started going down the mountain, and by God's providence, he found a rescue team that eventually rescued him and took him to his wife. And that fire chief should be fired. Don't know what you think. He's the guy I called on my show last Friday, and he still hadn't called me back. So interesting enough. Interesting enough. So don't know what you guys are on all this, but it's rather sad. It's rather shameful, and as we're kicking off this, don't forget this is the anniversary of the crazy a year ago today, October 7th, when Israel was invaded.
Well, welcome to the 700 Club. On this day, 1 year ago, Israelis woke to the sound of sirens. Iranian-backed terrorists from Gaza were attacking Israeli communities. They killed more than 1,100 people, and they took more than 250 hostages. It was the worst massacre of Jewish people since the Holocaust.
That's terrible, and it's something we should all be praying about. We still don't understand why this has not been resolved, other than the fact that you don't have good leadership. And I think that's the problem a lot of folks see with the upcoming election. Here is some comments. How was life under Trump versus life under the current administration?
Thank God for common sense.
What do you think this says about our economy right now?
Our economy is in the toilet right now. And I
It
think
is.
going forward, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. And you cannot do anything with Kamala that's going to help this country.
Do you think life will get better under Kamala Harris?
I do not, absolutely do not. I believe under Trump it will. I mean, our kids are trying to buy houses now. They can't. Mortgage rates are too high. We really do need a new president in Trump.
I guess I'll do a final poll. Who thinks life is better 4 years later under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Who would say life is better? Who would say life was better under Donald Trump? And if that is the indicator for North Carolina, I think Kamala Harris is going to have a tough time here in North Carolina.
So interesting enough, that was a diner in North Carolina that Fox News reported on. So it's something for us to think about, because as you start thinking, hey, this is our history. This is who we claim to have, But the Democrats, what makes them different? Well, they've drifted from God. Now, this is another report about the Democrat convention meeting to omit under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. Listen as this guy led the virtual Pledge of Allegiance back during COVID, and they left out under God. They just skipped it.
And David, to the conventions, there's a story that's breaking, actually, that you broke on specific Democratic caucuses reciting the Pledge of Allegiance at the virtual convention, leaving out the words under God. Let's take a listen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
David, this seems to be a pattern. You broke another story on a related topic back in 2012. What's going on here?
Well, right. Back in 2012, we broke the story about those words under God being left, or the word God being left out of the Democratic Party platform. Here, what you just saw there was the Democratic National Committee caucus. It was a Muslim Affairs caucus, a meeting that the DNC was holding this week. They left the words under God out, as you just heard. Also, the LGBT caucus, that's what they call themselves at the DNC, also left the words under God out.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So what's the point of putting that up? Well, a couple of things. First of all, let's put this all in context and be clear. The DNC on day one did go ahead and say the words under God in their pledge. That was on day one. They also said on day two in the general session. But in these smaller caucuses, they're not saying it, at least in these two instances. The point is that there's an underbelly of a progressive far left that the Democrats are going to have to deal with, and that's what's kind of driving the ship.
And a lot of folks don't like it, me included. Well, Kamala Harris creates an ad for Trump. These are her own words, and Trump just ran them in an ad. See if you get what she's laying down.
Kamala Harris gave a speech about high prices, and Donald Trump came back and made an ad out of it. It was that bad They made an ad out of it. Cut number 12.
Everyday prices are too high. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. The bills add up. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes, prescription medication, the cost of food. A loaf of bread costs 50% more. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's a serious housing shortage. The price of housing has gone up. It's too difficult to build, and it's driving prices up. It is out of reach. The size of down payments have gone up as well. Costs are still too high. There's not much left at the end of the month, and prices are still too high.
So that is interesting. So Kamala Harris is the gift that keeps on giving. If the media were fair and balanced, she wouldn't have a chance, but they're covering for her. Here's another gentleman talking about the upcoming election.
Lots of people are changing their minds.
If you would have told me a month ago that I would be voting for Donald Trump in this next election, I would have told you to kindly f*** off. You know what? No. I would have told you to f*** right off. Because absolutely not. I would never vote for him. But you know what? I'm a human. And as humans, we are allowed to grow. We are allowed to evolve. We are allowed to change our opinions. We are allowed to educate ourselves on topics that maybe we're not as versed on as we think that we are. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I realized that I was drastically misinformed before, and I won't let that happen again. So I will be voting for Donald Trump.
So this is a very strong, pink-haired, dyed, lip-lopping liberal girl saying, I hated Donald Trump, and a month ago I would have told you, she used bad words, but she said, I'm voting for him now. Here's another liberal lady who says she's a Biden lover, but she can't support Harris, so she is voting for Trump. And listen how she states this. If you're a lip-lock liberal, you might like the way she says it. It's a little condescending, but again, another liberal voting for Trump.
I'm not a Trump fan. I think that he is narcissistic, he's egotistical, he's cruel. I don't like the way that he treats people. However, when I heard that Biden was no longer going to run, I was so hopeful that we would have a stand-up person to represent our country, and it's not Kamala. One of our family members was talking to us about how he chose his surgeon, and he chose a very narcissistic surgeon who is very good at what he does. He said that he ended up making this choice not because he was kind, but because he was too egotistical to let himself fail on a life-threatening surgery. And I feel that way about Trump. I feel like even though he is narcissistic, I feel like he is too egotistical not to protect our country, and protection is what we need right now in the world that we're living in. I feel like
so a lip-lock liberal said she's voting for Trump because, not that she likes him, basically, but because she thinks he's the best for the job. I'll be back after the break.
Hey, I'm from Texas, and I love listening to your show because y'all tell truth on there. You don't water it down, and I know what I listen to is real. And so, yes, just want to say that I'm glad that you're doing the show, and I'm friends with Jolene, and I do love America. I really do. Keep going. Gung ho, guys, with the show. We got your back. Bye.
WVMG Chattanooga.
Hi, I'm Mickey Hart of the Grateful Dead. We've traveled all over the world,
from Amsterdam to the Great Pyramids of Egypt. But I can't think of anywhere more full of beauty, life, and music than our own national forest. I love the forest. But you know, all its beauty can be taken away from us through one careless act. A campfire unattended, a cigarette butt thrown out a car window, or a trash fire left alone. You see, one little fire can quickly become one big fire, a forest fire. And before you know it, the trees stop swaying, the flowers stop blooming, and the birds stop singing. So please, be careful in the forest. It belongs to all of us, and remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
A public service of this station, the Forest Service, USDA, your state foresters, the Ad Council,
and the Grateful Dead.
This is the sound of a brand new outdoor grill being hurled off a 20-story building. Now a stylish glass coffee table. An electric guitar. These are the things you could enjoy, all cast into oblivion. Because when you throw away money on wasted electricity, you throw away everything you could have bought with it. Visit EnergySavers.gov and get tips on how to save energy and money. Then do things like switch to Energy Star light bulbs or Energy Star appliances, and you could save hundreds of dollars a year. So this doesn't happen to the recliner you've had your eye on, or this to the treadmill on your wish list, or this to the shiny new bike your kid's been asking for. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Want to fight childhood asthma? Then fight it with a scrub brush and a hot soapy towel. Even in the neatest and tidiest homes, if there's so much as a crumb to eat or a drop to drink, household pests like bugs and mice will do all that they can to get it. Creepy crawlies like bugs and mice are unpleasant enough as it is, but they're more than just a nuisance for kids with asthma because they can actually trigger an asthma attack. So give them a whole lot of nothing. Sweep up crumbs, wipe down tables, scrub dishes before they pile up in the sink, and store leftovers in plastic bags or bowls. Don't leave them so much as one tidbit or nibble, and you can stop a childhood asthma attack before it starts. Discover other simple ways to prevent an asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS or visit noattacks.org, because no child should feel like a fish out of water. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. EPA, the Ad Council, and this station.
Welcome back, my friends. This is the Macil Duncan Show, broadcast live from Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we are now in 37 states, Mexico, and Canada, thanks mostly to USAHeartbeat.com and StreetLevelAmerica.com that use their stations and networking to get me across the country. And we appreciate SGM Alabama down in Alabama that plays the show and broadcast through their stations, and also Destiny Life Media here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, 96.9 FM, the New Jersey Freedom Network, the Tennessee Conservative Network, God and Politics, Revolver Media, and MacilDuncanRadio.com that takes us to all of our media sites like at X, Rumble, and Facebook. Thank you guys for being part of the show, and if you would like to share the show on your social media pages and conservative platforms, we appreciate all the help, because shadow banning's at an all-time high with the election around the corner. Many of the kids that sit in their mama's basement claim to be fact checkers are, trying to cause trouble. U.S. Christians pushing back on Christian nationalism. I think this is interesting. This is in Axios, and here we are. A wide variety of American Christians from different denominations are speaking out against Christian nationalism, a once fringe movement steadily gaining political power in the U.S. Why it matters? The pushback comes as critics worry rising Christian nationalism is threatening the nation's multiracial democracy and record number of Americans' identity as religious unaffiliated. The big picture from the Greek Orthodox Church to Roman Catholics to evangelical Christian leaders, several grassroots efforts primarily led by individuals rather than by any church hierarchy have sprung up issues warnings about Christian nationalism. Now this is a label they've tried to put on people that are part of the Trump campaign. It's an attempt from the left to radicalize and make the FBI be able to, if you're someone that's a patriot, they've tried to make that an ugly term. So then to throw Christian and nationalism, because let's say this election's about two things: the economy and the border. Those are the main two things. But what do both of those boil down to? Nationalism versus globalism. Savvy? So the globalists, the Bidens, the Obamas, the Bushes, they want to be involved with the World Economic Forum. They want to be involved with the World Health Organization, the United Nations, all these world global effects, because when they get involved in all these global movements and global effects, they're able to enrich themselves and enrich their partners around the globe. Donald Trump wants to just focus on America, nationalism. Remember what MAGA stands for? Make America great again. Not the world, but America. He said when you strengthen your national sovereignty, then you can be a better impact on the world, which is true. Do you remember Obama got us into the Paris Accord, for instance, and then Trump got us out, and then Biden got us back into it. The interesting thing about the Paris Accord is for the first 18 years, America was going to pay all the bills. Okay, and Trump said this is a bad deal. Remember, he wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. Why would we want to pay all the bills for 18 years and you guys just suck off us? No, that's not cool. Not a good deal. And it wasn't. This is their attempt again to take the MAGA, Make America Great Again, and the word nationalism and dirty it, and also try to take Christianity and make it, because Christians are supposed to love God, love the world. You remember the Great Commission. We're to make disciples and go what? Into all the nations, all the world. So they're trying to make our global mandate to share Christ into those that just want to be nationalists, that somehow we're reprobate Christians, that we're not truly following the teachings of Christ, nor the teachings of Almighty Obama, Almighty Bushy, and Almighty Biden. Bottom line, it's getting down crunch time. People are making their decisions. People are boiling it down based off guts right now. I think a lot of folks are going to get into that booth and they're just going to make their gut decision. And I think the polls don't have a clue, because I think a lot of people that like Trump aren't going to say it in a poll because they don't want to get doxxed. They don't want to get messed with. They don't want folks coming after them. But you keep hearing stories like this one where at a rally, Trump was speaking, and an ex-Green Beret came to give him something very special. Listen to this story. This is a tearjerker.
Next question is from John. He was a Green Beret captain who was actually kicked out of the military. I think he's going to share his story with you. 1 second.
Hi. Good-looking guy.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm John Frankman. I was a Special Forces Green Beret who was forced out of the military because of the COVID-19 vaccine
good
mandate.
Stuff, right? That's good. That's good.
So the Biden-Harris DoD COVID-19 vaccine mandate was very damaging to the military. It forced thousands of service members out, and thousands do not want to join now. The Biden-Harris DoD has the lowest recruiting in modern history, and now they're pushing more woke training. So how do you plan to repair the military from the damage that was done and hold military leaders accountable?
So I want to have them come back into the military with pay, and they've been talking about that, but it never happened. They never did what they said they were going to do. There should have never been a mandate. That should have never happened. You should have been given choice, as we say. We want choice in education, and we want a choice there too.
So he's basically saying for them they kicked all these people out of the military, and said no, you can't. Well, here's another viral moment of Donald Trump at that same rally, town hall meeting.
that, and before we ask his question, I wanted to read this to the crowd. He had actually written a letter to you after you'd been shot in Pennsylvania. Dear President Trump, watching you during the Butler rally and you getting back up, both my wife and I gave a sigh of relief as well as a few tears. I would be honored if you would accept this small token that I received as a young Marine in Vietnam. My wife and I both thought it appropriate. God bless you, your family, and the United States of America. Sincerely, Dwight. Dwight, where you at?
Check this out, my friends.
Thank you. Whoa. Looks like a check. It's a check. It's cash.
For those of you who may not know, Dwight had given President Trump his Purple Heart.
That's right. That's right.
I couldn't think anybody more deserving of a Purple Heart.
Thank you very much.
You took it, you laid down there, you got back up, and the first words out of your mouth was fight, fight, fight. You didn't even have anything to shoot back at. You got guts.
Yeah, hold that up right there. He doesn't do this, but he's better than anybody as far as I'm.
No, I'm hardly better than you on this thing. You're great at this, and I wanted to thank you. I know that most of you all watched the president on that day and were very fearful that something terrible happened when he went down on the ground. But it was such a relief. Our hearts were so filled with joy because we saw what happened, and it was a minor wound, but it was close to being a terrible.
You know.
So this guy gave Donald Trump his Purple Heart that he was given as a Marine. That's powerful, guys. That's a gift. But he said when Donald Trump was shot, it made him want to give him his Purple Heart, and it's been viral. It's been all over the internet. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's pretty amazing. And so as you start looking at these things and you start realizing people today are very much in, I guess, a situation of, hey, I want to be a part of something that's for real. We're going to take a break, and I'll be right back. This is the Macil Duncan Show, live from Chattanooga.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas sparked a lot of reaction this week, saying FEMA lacks sufficient funds to support Americans through the rest of the Atlantic hurricane season, putting FEMA's expenditures under the microscope. How much it spends on natural disasters and how much it spends on migrants in the country.
We are meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. We do not have the funds, FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season.
President Biden emphasized during an operational briefing that it will cost billions to recover from the storm and that Congress must ensure states have adequate resources. The funding shortage has led to outrage among Republicans. Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying, "This is easy. Mayorkas and FEMA immediately stop spending money on illegal immigration resettlement and redirect those funds to areas hit by the hurricane. Put Americans first." And House Republican Jim Jordan saying the Biden-Harris administration took more than $1 billion tax dollars that had been allocated to FEMA for disaster relief and used it to house illegal aliens. Now, the Biden-Harris administration took more than $1 billion tax dollars, more than $1 billion tax dollars, more than $1 billion tax dollars, more than $1 billion tax dollars more than $1 billion tax dollars that had been allocated to FEMA for disaster relief and used it to house illegal aliens. FEMA for disaster relief and used it to house illegal aliens. For disaster relief and used it to house illegal aliens. House illegal aliens. House illegal aliens. House illegal aliens. Now they've abandoned American hurricane victims in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and Tennessee. FEMA is responding to the backlash, saying there is a separation between FEMA money for disasters and FEMA money for the migrant crisis. FEMA saying no money is being diverted from disaster response needs. FEMA's disaster response efforts and individual assistance is funded through the Disaster Relief Fund. Took more than $1 billion tax dollars that had been allocated to FEMA for disaster relief and used it to house illegal aliens.
We were able to get on a helicopter so we could get a bird's eye view of the Lake Lure and Chimney Rock area.
This is the whole team right here for the town.
Sorry for everything that's happened. And it's hard to put into words what that devastation is and what it's going to take for them to even begin to start thinking about rebuilding. It's going to be a long road ahead.
So this is the operation. We're so fortunate to be so loved by everybody. We haven't had a natural disaster like this in Western North Carolina in a very long time. So the outpouring is amazing, and as you can see, volunteers galore, and it's just, so heartfelt.
It is incredible. How far are people traveling to come here, both to help but also to get the supplies they need?
To help from all over, Florida, Michigan, the Northeast. They're driving an exorbitant amount of distance to come here. As far as a volunteer, all over South Carolina and Eastern North Carolina, Georgia.
The rebuilding here is just going to be so expensive.
Yeah.
I own the Chimney Rock Inn.
Okay.
A third of the back is missing, completely wiped out.
See where the blue styrofoam is at?
Yep.
Our apartment was right under that. Everything is completely. You got the mountains around, everything gets funneled in there. And so you get this raging torrent, wall of water, 20, 40 feet deep. It comes down the river, rock, mud, trees, houses, buildings.
I don't know what kind of water. We got water, MREs. We got some of that stuff. We're ready for the apocalypse. We need help building this road back. We need a big retaining wall. We need the park reopened. We need this road all the way up. That's the kind of help we need.
Yeah.
We got chainsaws. We got water.
Yep.
We need structure.
Yep.
Appreciate
my best wishes.
We definitely appreciate you being here, though.
Well, that's, the smallest thing we can do is just to try to lift up your voices and your stories and what the needs really are here. Glenn, nice to meet you. Tulsi, thanks for what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Should be clear all the way down.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Good to
guys.
see you.
We're strong. We just need help.
Yeah.
Welcome back, my friends. This is Macil Duncan, and welcome back to the show. As I told you at the beginning, I was going to focus a lot on my visit this weekend down in North Carolina, or I should say up in North Carolina Hills and East Tennessee, and just witnessing for myself the devastation, the helplessness. People having their homes completely wrecked, and it's a very sad situation, and it's very inexcusable for the way that FEMA has responded. And here's one of FEMA's. Her name is. She's the FEMA training director, and you know what her concern is? Her concern is about faith-based shelters misgendering migrant trans women, because she is a migrant trans person who has been labeled a director. She's climbed the chain in FEMA. How about that? Congrats.
Because of the way they've been responded to in the past, then if they are accepted, what would happen in terms of misgendering, in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, etc. And then in addition, public safety once they're inside from those who are actually sheltering with them. All those concerns are there. Being a migrant trans woman, there is an undocumented concern. There is also a concern of whether they would trust the people. responded to in the past. Then if they are accepted, what would happen in terms of misgendering, in terms of bedrooms and bathrooms, etc.
So her big worries about where they go to the bathroom, okay? And so she is also concerned that faith people, about them accepting her trans situation. You know, when it comes down to it, when people are hurting and hungry and devastated, you don't sit there and say, now wait a minute, let's make sure you check all my boxes before I help you. That's insane. It's just really sad that this government has gone to that level. And you can thank your Mr. Biden for that. Or I should say the puppet master, Mr. Obama, that tells Biden what to do. I think it's pretty obvious, and I think many folks are seeing that now more than ever, that's the case. And it's rather sad. Well, many folks in Politico have this view of the upcoming election, how the Supreme Court could reshape the 2024 race. Again, according to Politico. Now, this is left-leaning, but I thought I'd read it to you. From the mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania to hurricane accommodations in North Carolina, here are the legal issues to watch. They think the Supreme Court might have to step in. When the Supreme Court convenes Monday to open its new term, there will be 29 days until Election Day. And one question on everyone's mind, will the justices once again find themselves in the middle of the presidential race? Before the election, the High Court will be called to resolve the emergency disputes over ballot access measures or vote counting rules. And the election, any challenge to the outcome would likely end up with the justices. Either scenario would transform a term that so far looks sleepy into another political explosive chapter of the court, which is controlled 6-3 by a conservative majority, and it would come a time when public trust in the court is still on decline. So heading to the court's opening session on Monday, the justices have agreed to hear 40 cases this term. None of those cases is nearly or consequently as high court's forays in recent years into abortion, affirmative action, and gun rights. The cases on tap to include some politically sensitive disputes, fights over a Tennessee law banning hormone treatments for transgender minors. There's also an argument set for Tuesday on Biden's administration effort to ban so-called ghost guns, which are assembled from its kit purchased over the internet and are often untraceable. Another case test, a new Texas law that requires visitors to porn websites to provide identification providing that they're over 18. But many election-related cases, etc., wait in the wings. And so many, in fact, that some expect and believe the justices are deliberately keeping their docket slim because they might have to step in. And now many of you guys remember back in 2000, the hanging Chad, when Bush was clearly winning Florida, and all of a sudden the Democrats pulled an you can't read the ballots, and they said all this hanging Chad bull. I don't know if you guys remember that, and saying that they was confusing the counting. And it was all a big ruse, because what they wanted to do is get rid of they were very accurate machines compared to what we have now. So with the 2000 question election, it went to the Florida Supreme Court, and they declared Al Gore the winner. Well, then the Bush campaign appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court reversed the state Supreme Court, and they declared George Bush the winner. And primarily one thing in particular is all the overseas ballots come in through Florida. All the military ballots, well over 2,000, which again put Bush way ahead. He was up by almost 4,000. The hanging Chad controversy got him within 500 votes, supposedly, of Al Gore. Al Gore still was behind. And if you guys remember, they pushed it on and twisted it so long that Bush did not get to have a celebratory evening. They drug it out for weeks. And the interesting thing is, remember, Al Gore called and conceded, and then he called and unconceded. You remember that? Anyway, it's a very interesting. I know that's back in 2000, but go back and take a look-see and do some fact-checking. But that's when they brought in the Smartmatics and the Dominion voting machines. Savvy? They needed a controversy, so we would accept a solution that we probably would not have accepted without the controversy. That's the Democratic way. So that's what's happened, and now the voting machines are very hackable and accessible, and many folks have seen that and are aware of that, but they just don't seem to care. So anyway, the Political article is interesting. Will the Supreme Court step in? Don't know. Don't know, but we'll see. I'm not super impressed with the Supreme Court myself. I think they've been rather weak on some issues. That's just me personally. The federal government set to pay $50,000 to encourage LGBT teen wilderness conservation efforts. The taxpayers will fund to a Oregon-based organization that hopes to diversify the outdoors. That's right. The federal government is going to pay $50,000 to encourage LGBT teens' wilderness conservation efforts. I'll leave it there. Interesting, is it not? Well, as North Carolina flood victims begged for help, Mayorkas went boutique shopping in Georgetown. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this is the Federalist, and they go on to say residents from Appalachia are still desperate for basic necessities. Homeland Security Mayorkas reportedly went on a luxury shopping spree in Georgetown this weekend as residents across the southern Appalachia continue to beg for emergency supplies. Mayorkas, who was impeached by the House of Representatives earlier this year for his handling of the border crisis, was spotted by the Washington Free Beacon strolling through the men's section of the Sid Mashburn high-ended menswear store surrounded by security. The Washington Free Beacon reported Saturday he appeared to purchase some items at the store where suit jackets go for around $3,000 each. Now, it's not a crime to shop, and maybe that's his hobby. I ride Harleys when I'm stressed. My wife goes shopping when she's stressed. I'm convinced she has relatives in the Civil War because she can yell charge as well as anybody. But then you've got Mayorkas, who's going shopping in a weekend that many folks would think he'd be at the White House. But, Biden wasn't at the White House either. He was at the beach. Kamala was on the campaign trail. Who's running the country? That's a big question, is it not? But anyway, it made the news that he went on shopping spree. Hurricane Helen crashed into Florida as a Category 4 storm and poured a record-breaking 40 trillion gallons of water across the South, washing away entire Appalachian towns. FEMA is typically proactive in disaster response efforts, but this time they have drugged their feet. The 82nd Airborne is still at Fort Bragg, and people are disappointed in this rescue effort. And it lays at his feet. And I think it does, rightfully. It lays at his feet. Well, getting ready for a break. We'll talk a little bit at the 5 o'clock hour. But it's 1 year ago today that the Gaza terrorists and citizens stormed Israel and slaughtered 1,200 innocent, mainly students, in the worst attack on Jews since World War II. It's so sad, and it's so. I still can't believe some of you put Palestinian sympathies on your page and stuff, because it's just unreal. Anyway, this is a minute reflection.
One of the deadliest days in Israel's history. 1,200 people were killed, and of course 250 were then held as hostages, of which about 100 of them are still in captivity. It marked a significant turning point for the region, with Israel going on the offensive against those Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip. And you fast forward to today, you have more than 90% of the population within the Gaza enclave displaced, and no sign of a ceasefire. But it is not just just a front in Gaza that is being waged. It is now being transformed into a multi-front conflict. We've been talking about the second time there has been a direct attack from Iran into Israel this year. The first one took place in April. Israel responded. But a week ago, Iran also fired almost 200 ballistic missiles towards Israel. It is expected to respond, and how that response is going to look like, again, will shape what the regional situation is going to be. One of the deadliest.
So I don't know what you think. It's a year ago today. I remember seeing. Now you can't find it as easy. They've really done a job cleaning up, but there was a time you could find those guys hang gliding in with machine guns, and they were spraying the students and shooting them. And when they landed, especially the male students, they shot, killed, and some they tortured and beat up. And when Hamas came in, they were raping women. And there was a couple of cases where they raped the daughter and wives in front of the husband and the father. And then they killed the father. His last memory was his wife and daughter being raped, and then they shot him in the head. But you guys said, let's be nice to Palestine, and let's put their little flaggy on my social media. Yeah. If they came and did that to your family, would you appreciate people putting their flag on their social media? It's unreal to how people are persuaded. And they got these Palestinian camps across and rallies that were across the country and the colleges, and people were falling for this. And there was one Democrat, though, that spoke up, and it was Mayor Adams from New York. Do you remember this?
There is a movement to radicalize young people, and I'm not going to wait until it's done.
Eric Adams, who's obviously the mayor of New York City, was asked about the various groups that have been showing up to Columbia, because we just have no numbers on how many of these people are students in the first place.
I saw similar indicators from the Black Lives Matters march when it was brought to my attention that there were those who came to the city to disrupt our city, and she was able, through her team, was able to conduct an investigation, and what I feared was actually materialized and actualized by those who were on the ground.
To hear what he feared. This is a Democratic mayor of a major city, the one common sense guy. And what happens to him? He gets raided by the FBI 3 times. Every time he spoke out against the border, against this Palestine movement, or against the administration, the FBI comes in.
And I know that there are those who are attempting to say, well, the majority of people may have been students. You don't have to be the majority to influence and co-op an operation. That is what this is about. And so if we want to play the word police, you could do so. I'm going to play the New York City police, where we're going to protect our city from those who are attempting to do what is happening globally. Those who are attempting to do what is happening globally. Those who are attempting to do what is happening globally. To do what is happening globally. It's happening globally. It's happening globally. It's happening globally. There is a movement to radicalize young people. There is a movement to radicalize young people. There is a movement to radicalize young people. And I'm not going to wait until it's done and all of a sudden acknowledge the existence of it. This is a global problem that young people are being influenced by those who are professionals at radicalizing our children. At radicalizing our children. By those who are professionals, influenced by those who are professionals at radicalizing our children. And I'm not going to allow that to happen as the mayor of the city of New York. So the men and women of the New York City Police Department, you should be proud of yourself.
How about that? So this guy, for speaking out against the agenda and against the Palestinian, and he calls it a global trying to manipulate the minds of the young people. He calls it for what it is. And this guy's a Democrat. And all they're doing is trying to crucify him. This could be their 2028. If they were smart, they would get behind this guy. He could be their 2028 ticket. But they don't want people that think for themselves. They don't want folks that love the country. The left wants nothing but global, global, global. And it's such a shame because I think Mayor Adams seems like he's got a lot of sense. Here's another Democrat. He's still a registered Democrat, but even though he's gone independent, is Robert F. Kennedy about the failure of the media.
The role of the media in a democracy is to maintain a fierce posture of skepticism toward government authorities and toward official pronouncements. That was what the media did in this country for the first 285 years of our existence. But in the last decade, and particularly culminating in COVID, you saw the media completely take the opposite posture. The media became the mouthpiece for government policies. It shamed people who dissented from them and disagreed. It silenced them, it marginalized them, it gaslit them. People who said that they had an injury from one of the interventions, people who complained about the impacts of their children on the school closures, people who said you don't have any evidence that masks are actually based on science or social distancing. Those people became heretics and had to be silenced and discredited and burned, and the media was leading that rather than, being skeptical towards government authority.
Make America healthy again. That is Robert F. Kennedy running with Donald Trump right now. And they're saying his wife is catching all kind of heck, and it's a shame that that's happening. But interesting enough, people have spoken, and they're putting their opinions out there. See what you think.
What can I say? The people have spoken.
Ready? You have the cameras rolling?
Trump or Kamala, what do you think, man? Trump or Kamala?
That's my guy, bro. Much love, dude.
We're going to say Trump, and I go with him as well. He's going to say that as well. And so is she.
Yeah.
Trump, baby!
Let's go!
Trump.
I feel like Trump is the right person.
Trump all day, baby.
Trump? Man, give it to him.
Trump.
Yeah. Trump. Trump 2024.
Trump.
Yeah.
Trump.
I'm voting Trump. Yeah.
I'm not sure I want to say it, in front of a camera, though.
So that means Trump. That means he's Trump.
Trump for sure.
Yeah, Trump, bro.
Trump, 100% Trump.
Trump 2024.
Trump's my guy. You kiss this mother right here. Trump.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Trump, baby. Trump all day.
Make America great again.
Now that was Benny Johnson on the street, and in one of our metropolitan cities, and that's pretty much what you're getting. Is people are saying, hey, we want to have security again. And you're having liberals and people that are professed, people that you never would have thought would have voted for Donald Trump. And I think that's the thing that a lot of folks, I think, are amazed. And this person right here says, I'm actually a liberal, very liberal, and I'm voting for Trump.
I think that he is narcissistic, he's egotistical, he's cruel. I don't like the way that he treats people. However, when I heard that Biden was no longer going to run, I was so hopeful that we would have a stand-up person to represent our country, and it's not Kamala. One of our family members was talking to us about how he chose his surgeon, and he chose a very narcissistic surgeon who is very good at what he does. He said that he ended up making this choice not because he was kind, but because he was too egotistical to let himself fail on a life-threatening surgery. And I feel that way about Trump. I feel like even though he is narcissistic, I feel like he is too egotistical not to protect our country, and protection is what we need right now. And
so that's a liberal lady saying that she's voting for Donald Trump, and she says she finds him repulsive, but she said, just like you'd want to find the best doctor, I'm looking for the best person for the job, and she says Donald Trump's it. Well, as I said earlier, 1 year ago today, the Gaza terrorists stormed Israel and created the biggest Holocaust on Jews since World War II. And a lot of folks, I think, are still taken back by that. And it's rather sad. It's rather disappointing that people have forgotten this and aren't remembering it like they should. But here's some more on that.
Now Israel is in a multi-front war, not only against Iran's proxy armies, but against Iran itself. As the fighting continues, the nation is remembering the victims of October 7th. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl reports.
At 6:29 Monday morning, the moment terrorists from Gaza breached the fence into Israel 1 year ago, President Isaac Herzog observed a moment of silence at the site of the Nova Music Festival, where hundreds gathered in memory of those killed and kidnapped.
7th of October 2023, a day that should be remembered in infamy. This is a scar on humanity. This is a scar on the face of the earth.
It's one of many observances happening throughout the country to remember the October 7th attacks, including an event by the government press office, the National Documentation Project, which is collecting stories of those who suffered that day.
So today is the day, and I hope you'll lift him up in your prayers and keep them in your thoughts, because it's a sad day when stuff like that happens. And I don't know. I found this song by Ann Wilson. We'll take it to the break, but I thought it was a good one. She talks about God, and it's called God and Country. See what you think about this. It's a pretty neat song. Okay, cooperate here. There we go.
Mama put a Bible in my hands, and Daddy put my hands in the dirt. I grew up in the heart of the heartland, with a vintage Johnny Cash on my shirt. I learned the truth from Granddad's vinyl and the preacher down on River Road. If you care to know anything about me, I'll tell